festivities for Ramadan, but not for Onam? Why not for
Mm.
Diwali? Why not for Christmas? Why not for New Year's?
Wow. Mm.
And it started off with just me and a few classmates of mine. And
Mhm.
then it led to the school reaching out to me and saying, hey, listen, for the class assemblies, come up on stage, tell the students what you're doing, and we'll help you. We'll give you transport. We'll help you guys go as a group to these labor camps and stuff like that. And then started off again with just 4 or 5 people, and it ended up with about, on average, we'd have 25 to 30 volunteers
Mm.
each day. And
Mm.
we did that. And unbeknownst to me, I got nominated because I was working with two charitable organizations. And
Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Say Something with Mads, the youth channel where week after week we have young guests who have something interesting to share. Their thoughts, their ideas makes this program what it is. And thank you for joining every week. Today we welcome Amaan Ibrahim on my show. He's joining me from Dubai, but we are doing it virtually because he is one busy person. He's now in his in midst of organizing a TED talk. He has a lot to share today, but I must share why Amaan is here today. Hi, Amaan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, ma'am. Thank you for having me. It's a true honor.
Thank you. I met Aman precisely for half an hour the other day when we were invited in the school, James, his alma mater, as co-judge of a speech competition. And what instantly struck me about Aman is he almost had a celebrity status among the teachers. They were all asking, why Aman this, Aman that? And I said, this must be a person who has lots to say, and the calm and suave and the way he handled the whole thing about teachers asking him questions, and he was so humble. And so I felt that personality is something which I have to understand. But I met him multiple times again after various events, and really he is a multifaceted personality. We have a lot to talk. Let's dive right in. Aman, the first and the foremost, if I have to ask you, is your award 2017, when he was just 16. He was awarded the Diana Legacy Award. I want you to talk about why you won that award and what it felt to be at St. James. Yeah, please.
Funny thing, it was kind of like a domino effect because it started off as something completely different, and never in a million years would I have thought that it would lead to all these dominoes falling and me eventually being able to meet their Royal Highnesses. It started actually in 2013 or 2014, I believe, where it was a sweltering hot Ramadan, and for me, I'm a pretty well-fed kid. I prefer to stay indoors with the AC on full blast whenever possible. But
Mm,
then my dad one day he just woke me up in the middle of the afternoon and he said, "Come." And we were fasting at the time, and Dad said, "No, come with me." He took me in the car. I kept asking, "Where are we going?" He said, "You'll see, you'll see." And he took me to this place in Sharjah called Sajja. And I didn't understand what it was because one thing that I'll appreciate is that living here, we have a very protected and sheltered life, a luxurious life. And basically, when I walked into this shed of a building that I saw in front of me, I saw about 200, 250 laborers sitting down on the ground talking to each other, laughing, making merry. And on the other side of the room, it's just piles and piles of these huge canisters with steaming hot biryani in each of them.
mm,
And then a few other plates full of watermelon and dates, and then a huge stack of laban up and everything.
mm,
And Dad didn't explain anything to me. Somebody came and said, "Okay, you come here, start scooping the biryani onto these plates. Okay, after this, go put like 3 dates, one slice of watermelon, one bottle of laban up, and just hand the plates off." And then as it got closer to iftar time, we started distributing this to each and every laborer there. And towards the end, it's like 3 or 4 minutes before iftar, all of us, we just sat in one corner of the room and we had iftar. Now, I always try not to say this because my mom gets angry when I say it. That the biryani that I had then, that day, that iftar, was by far the most delicious biryani I've ever had.
Mm.
And now it's, and that was just one day. And then that Ramadan, I went for another 5, 6, 7 days. And I spoke to them. I said, "Hey, listen, this is actually really cool." And
Mm.
I didn't see any meaning behind it as such. I just loved the act of going, serving food, doing all these
Mm.
things.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
dad told me something that was really meaningful. He said, after Ramadan, these laborers, it stops for them. For the entire
Mm.
month of Ramadan, a lot of companies fight over each other to make sure they can come to these labor camps and distribute food for the entire
Yeah.
month. But the
Mm.
moment Ramadan ends, it's gone because their
Mm.
corporate social responsibility is done, their CSR
Oh.
is done.
Mm. Mm.
And that rubbed me the wrong way because for me, growing up, I was always raised to treat mandir with just as much respect that I would with a masjid.
Mm.
Treat pastor the same respect I would with an imam.
Mm.
And it just rubbed me the wrong way that why Ramadan? Is it because we're in a Muslim country? So I spoke to dad. I asked him, what can we do? So he had a few contacts. I reached out to a few of his contacts, set up meetings. It was a bit odd, a 13, 14-year-old kid going up and sitting and talking to like executives of hotels and restaurants. And basically, what we did is from 2014 all the way to 2017, for Ramadan, Onam, Christmas, New Year, we set out to do what these companies do during just Ramadan.
Okay. Mm.
Because why should there be special festivities for Ramadan but not for Onam? Why not for
Mm.
Diwali? Why not for Christmas? Why not for New Year's?
Wow. Mm.
And it started off with just me and a few classmates of mine. And
Mm.
then it led to the school reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, listen, for the class assemblies, come up on stage, tell the students what you're doing, and we'll help you. We'll give you transport. We'll help you guys go as a group to these labor camps and stuff like that." And then started off again with just 4 or 5 people, and it ended up with about, on average, we'd have 25 to 30 volunteers
Mm.
each day. And
Mm.
we did that. And unbeknownst to me, I got nominated because I was working with two charitable organizations. And then 2016, sorry, I remember 2017, my board exams had just gotten over, my 10th grade
Okay.
board exams. And I'm a huge lover of Greek and Roman mythology.
Mm.
So my parents, as a surprise, said, the day my exams get over, I come home and my mom says, "Pack your bags. We're
We are
leaving
going
for
to.
Rome."
Yeah. Mm.
Yes, we're going to Italy for about a week just to celebrate your exams getting over. I was ecstatic. I was happy, excited. So we go to Rome. We spend a nice long holiday, and then about 2 days before we land back in Dubai, my dad gets an email saying I have won the Diana Award. And then I'm like, okay, because I don't remember applying for this. I don't know because
Mm.
as students in UAE schools, we usually apply for either the Sheikh Hamdan Award or the
Mm.
Sharjah Excellence Award, stuff like that. But the
Mm.
Diana Award wasn't as well heard, so that was a bit
Mm.
odd. And then a few hours later, we get an updated email saying that I would be getting this award from Theresa May, who was the
Okay.
prime minister
Yeah.
at the time.
Understood. Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, okay, this
Wow.
is a bit
Big.
special, and the imposter syndrome kicked in. I was like, what have I done to
Mm.
get this, And
Mm.
then another 1 or 2 hours later, we get one final email which changed my life. It said, from the existing pool of Diana Award winners, you have been awarded the International Diana Legacy Award for exemplifying the message Princess Diana shared with the world. This award will be given to you at St. James Palace by her children, their Royal Highnesses Prince Harry and Prince William. I saw
Mm.
that email, and I'm sorry, me, my sister, we're jumping on the bed because you don't get to meet royalty that often.
So this was like no less than a fairy tale. If you have to start the conversation, this is something which at such a young age, and I think this will be forever with you as the biggest legacy which you will carry. Now, coming back to your current role, you are a psychology student, and I remember talking to you, and you said that though my parents wanted me to be doctors, but you went, and because of some incident you thought that no, I would be better suited to study psychology, and then you went on to do a lot of work in the wellness, mental wellness area. And what are you doing right now? Right now, you are in university. But tell us why you took psychology of all the subjects. If you're a good student, you're supposed to be doctor or engineer. Yeah, tell me.
In 11th and 12th, I'd taken, in CBSE, so you have these pre-made combinations. So I'd taken biophysics, chemistry, and informatics. I didn't like math at all, so
Mm,
I took informatics instead. And so right after 12th, I thought, okay, let's. My parents also suggested it, and I was like, you know what, it makes sense. So I went in and I did my NEET exam. I cleared it in my first attempt, thankfully. And so I got into a university, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a shot. No,
this all is
as they
happening in
say,
India. Where you got you
yes.
that time you were in India. You went from here to give the exam NEET in India because
I
NEET
went
didn't
from
have a
here.
center.
Yeah, exactly. So I finished my board exams here, and then I immediately went
Mm,
to India almost 2 days later for my NEET coaching, and then I took part in the exam almost a month later. The day before I turned 18,
okay.
that's when I wrote my NEET exam. And then I come back. I got like 4 months before medical colleges start in India. So I got my UAE driver's license. I had a lot of fun, and then I was like, okay, you know what? इधर तक तो पहुंचा है. So
Mm,
let's just see how far this can go. And I'll be honest, I fell in love with the field. I fell in
mm,
love with medicine. I loved human anatomy. I loved physiology, biochemistry. Um, Only thing was somewhere along the line, and I mentioned this in my upcoming TED talk. Somewhere along the line, it felt like I'd lost sight of why I was doing this.
okay.
It got to a point where I wasn't really excited every day, waking up like, oh, today I get to do this. And my mental health took a toll. I started going down a bit. My grades slowly started slipping, and
Mm,
things started getting a bit dark. And
mm,
but then, thankfully, so in the middle of it all, decided to do a gamble, and I joined an organization where I interned with them, and they gave me the opportunity to start a community for myself. And I decided, you know what, let's do mental health. So
mm.
I started an organization called Under 25 Project Hope, where we want to create a community across universities in India where students can foster their mental health. And it went well, and that's when it really struck me. Like, wait, this is actually, I feel alive when I'm doing these
Mm,
activities. And I thought, yes, if I continue with medicine, I could go become a psychiatrist. I could work in mental health, but then that would take me about 8, 9, 10 more years. And by
mm.
Indian standards, if you want to be seen as a good doctor, it's another 15 years and such. And I thought, there's another way where I can start helping people much faster, uh, getting into clinical psychology. So it was a long conversation with my parents, and
Oh yeah,
I
I can
honestly,
understand that.
yeah,
That must have
I,
been
I
very tough.
honestly,
Mm,
exactly, I expected it to be much worse.
okay.
I thought they would start shouting, they would start screaming, but for some reason, what I had done before approaching them is I made a PowerPoint presentation. I went to them,
Your
but before
parents.
going to them, I had a slide. Yes, I had a PowerPoint presentation with all these things, like which university I want to go to, which program, which course I want to do, how much these psychologists make on average in the UK or in the US, where I want to do my master's. I had a whole 7 to 8 year plan on these slides. So I got on a Zoom call with them. I shared my screen and I started explaining these things to them. And I think a major difference was that for the first time, they saw me not as their child, but as an
Mm,
adult who's done their work, who's done their research. I'm
mm,
not trying to quit. I'm not trying
mm.
to give up. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do what I feel is best for me. And
Mm,
so I switched. I joined the University of Birmingham, Dubai, and
mm,
I'm doing my year 2 in psychology. And I have to say, if I had to do this 10 times over, I would do it
mm,
10 times over the exact same way.
mm,
Because, and it's not, people say, oh, you're doing this because psychology may be easier, or you're doing this because you wanted to flunk around because psychology, oh, you don't have to score well. And to them, I say, year one, I graduated with a 4.0, perfect 4.0 GPA, first class honors. Year 2, currently, my score is also first class honors. I'm in the top of my class, and I'm very much into extracurriculars. I'm the president of the Speech and Debate Society, and as you
Mm.
astutely pointed out, I'm organizing my university's first TEDx event and stuff like that. So
Mm.
it's going well. Absolutely.
Yes. Moving on to your Aman is a versatile personality. I said, remember, he is into singing, he is a poet, and he is now into weightlifting. So he has a lot of passions which he follows along with his curriculum, and he does well, as you have heard. But I want to get into the TEDx. So, what was your first TED talk? When was it? Which year? What was the topic?
My first TED talk would be all the way back in either 2015 or 2016. I'm not quite sure the exact year,
Hmm.
but it was at my alma mater, our own. It was TEDx OOB School, the first TEDx event our school had organized. And that was right when I was at the peak of volunteering and organizing labor camp visits. So that was something that I knew I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So basically, what ended up happening is the theme was amazing. The theme was diverging universe, converging world. And I thought, okay, let me use this theme to talk about social harmony, to talk
Mm,
about the need for diversity in our life, and
mm,
what to do when you spot someone who is not adhering to the rules of diversity or the rules of social harmony.
right.
And I felt
Right.
it was pertinent at the time because at the time, plus now, there's things going on around in the world,
World, yeah.
which are not really optimal when it comes to the grand scheme of
Mm,
things. And uh, realizing and remembering the fact that yes, the world may be splitting apart, but that doesn't mean that we have to let it split that way.
mm.
It's up to us to hold it together. So that was my first
Absolutely.
TED talk.
Wow, that's 2015. And then you went on to do five more, and you are going to deliver your sixth, which you are yourself organizing. Would you say that you are now you can be approached for a TEDx consultant? If I have to give a TEDx speech, what are the four or five things I have to focus on? Let's quickly count them on your fingers, and so that a kind of
Absolutely.
a synopsis. Yes.
All right. Number one, don't take up a topic or don't write a topic around your theme, right? Don't be like, okay, this is the theme. I want to give a TED talk, so I'll write something. You do a TED talk or you give a TED talk when you have something to talk about, right? We've seen this multiple times where people would just so that they could put it on their LinkedIn or something, they make something up, the most random topics you'd see, and they'd come up on stage and they talk, and it doesn't align with their brand. It doesn't
Yes.
align with the message
Yeah.
that they say on social media and stuff. So it's a bit jarring. So that would be
Mm,
one. Don't mold your speech around a theme. Make sure that the correct theme comes in and then you speak. The
mm.
second would always be I call it the home theory, where after, let's say, ma'am, you're giving a TED talk, and I'm in the audience, I listen to your talk, and then I go home, and my mother and father ask, what did ma'am talk about? I should be able to say what you spoke about in 3 points, just three
Okay.
points,
Okay.
right? So that would be my next major message, that make sure that whatever you're talking about, that's fine. But the audience should
Three,
leave the
three
room with
takeaways.
3 points stuck in their head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Why
For
three?
any
Because
good
there's a lot of
speech,
research that talks about
yeah,
the power of three,
power of
and
three.
stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah. And my final point, I think the third, again, power of three. So the third final point that I would say is the audience doesn't know your script, right? A lot of people have stage fright, and I'll be honest, I say this, my friends don't believe me, my teachers don't believe me. I have terrible stage fright now.
You also.
The moment up until the point where I'm getting up on stage, my hands are shaking, my nose starts running, I start sweating, and even while I'm
And
speaking, it just
your throat feels dry. You feel like
exactly.
absolute dry. There's no saliva.
Exactly. And I could be standing in a desert, but my teeth will start chattering, right? My
Yeah.
mouth will start chattering because I feel like I'm freezing cold. And it just all happens at once. So I have terrible stage fright. But one thing that helps me go through the speech is knowing that my audience does not have my script written
Mm,
down for them. They don't know what I'm about to say. They don't know
mm,
what's on my slides until I show
mm,
those slides. I have
mm,
that control. So if I forget something during my speech, that's perfectly fine. They're not going to notice that you've forgotten something. Just move on to your next part. If you remember it later on, find a way to mold that into this particular part. Create a segue to that part and speak about it. So those would be my three main points.
Let's move on, Aman, to your passion of writing poetry and singing. So, when did you pick up this poetry? As you said, you were always fascinated by mythology, and you quote a lot of poems and in your speeches also. So, was it always like that, or you developed it by reading books?
So for me, my late grandfather, Professor A.P. Ibrahim Kuti, he was a professor at a university. He was a professor of zoology, but he was
Okay.
a deeply spiritual and insightful person.
Mm-hmm.
And so he loved poetry and music to such a point that he named my aunt Kavita and he named my dad Sangeet.
Okay.
Right. So my dad's name is Sangeet Ibrahim and my aunt's name is Kapita Nazir. So he
Okay.
loved those two things, and that was always a trait in my dad's side of the family. My dad's side of the family are very, literary, poetic, the Sufi style stuff. We used to have the writings of Rumi or Kabir ke
Oh, I love
Dohe
Rumi. I
somewhere in
love
our
Rumi.
houses and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Absolutely. So for me, poetry was something I loved quite a lot, and it wasn't that it just came out of nowhere as such. I used to try and write like my grandfather. My grandfather was an amazing poet, an amazing writer, and for me, I always strived to be like him.
Hmm.
And during the lockdown, I did what most of us do. I tried a lot of new hobbies. That's when I discovered my love for the ukulele. I used to sing. So in year 10, so basically in our school, we used to have these annual dramas, the concerts.
Hmm. Hmm.
And by the time we reached year 9, the concerts became musicals. So you
Hmm.
needed to sing if you wanted to act in it. And
Hmm.
basically, what happened was it kind of became, a necessity. So I realized, okay, if I want to take part in these concerts that I love so much, I need to learn to sing. So one
Hmm.
summer break, puberty happened, and
Hmm.
voice cracking, and
Hmm.
watching YouTube videos. I had a few favorite singers, so I would try to sound like them, mimic them. And then I got into music. I started singing. During lockdown, I put some savings together, my pocket money and everything, and I bought a ukulele online. And I started
Hmm.
again teaching myself the ukulele on YouTube. Um, and then again, towards the end of the lockdown, I approached a publishing house because I had a couple poems that
Hmm.
I thought would look very good in a compilation together. My initial thought was I'll get it done in an anthology, whereas like multiple people have their poems done. But
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
the publishing house, they looked through the work and they said, okay, you know what, this is actually nice. We'll help you
Hmm.
publish it.
Okay.
And it's actually
Can you
opportune
share
that
the
you
book? Yeah.
mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's called We/Us. This is the book. It's We
Okay.
slash Us, Musings of a Budding Human. All
Hmm.
right. Now, the budding human thing has been something that's been my brand for a while. That was the name of the initiative I started for the labor camp visits and everything.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
so it's a compilation of 21 poems. It all goes through certain parts of my life which I feel are very meaningful to me. Some sad parts, some extremely happy parts,
Hmm.
and there are a few inside hidden gifts. I like to say. So some poems, if you read the first letter of each line up to
Okay.
down, they have the names of some people who I hold very close to my heart.
Oh,
So
that's
my
very
dad,
interesting.
my
Hmm.
mom, yes. So my dad, my mom, some of the best friends I've had growing up, teachers who have been instrumental in me becoming the way that I am. So yeah, this book was something that I hold really close to my heart. It's only available in India because that's where the publishing
That's
house is
well
based.
published.
Uh,
Yes. Hmm.
yes.
I
So
must
that's
grab a
the way it
copy of
is.
this because I would love to know more
Absolutely.
about you through these poems because I know it's a very big part of your life. You do share this a lot whenever you speak. You speak in a very lyrical way. You have a way with words which is very lyrical, and it feels that yes, there is a poet which is trying to come out whenever there is a chance. Psychology, poetry. Yes, what a beautiful amalgamation. Right. Aman, if this is again a hypothetical question, but if you have to go back and interview a one person from history, who would that be?
Uh, as as cliched as this would sound, I would say my paternal grandfather,
Okay.
Professor A.P. Premkoti.
Okay.
Mainly because we lost him when I was 12, when I was 12 or 13. And
Hmm.
even before that, by the time I was about 6 or 7, He started, there was Alzheimer's, there was
Mm.
Parkinson's, a little
Okay.
bit of dementia. So
Mm.
my only memories of him, I have maybe one or two memories of when we used to have actual conversations, but I was too young to understand his
Wow.
brilliance.
Mm.
And if I could go back in time, meet him,
Mm.
speak to
Mm.
him, not just about, God, I'm getting emotional. Um, Speak
Uh,
to him about how I turned out, what he
mm.
feels about the person that I
Wow,
am,
it's so
because
beautiful.
so much about the things I've done because I hoped that he's up there smiling and he's proud of me.
Wow.
That he just thinks, oh, I this is my legacy. My grandson is making sure that I'm remembered by the stuff that he does. And if I could
Sure.
just get that confirmation from
Yeah,
him going back in time, that would be in the
absolute gem of an answer. This one feels, yeah. So you don't have to look for people outside. Like in your own home, you have somebody whom you want to live up to. What a beautiful answer, man. Right. Let's move on to something fun. Let's say if you have to invite three people whom you have never met
Mhm.
for a dinner, who would those three people be on your table, and where would you take them for dinner?
Oh, okay. First person right off the bat, he's a French poet. His
Okay.
name is Francois Rabelais.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Now,
Yeah. Mm.
yes, and for me, the reason why I would want to invite him is because his last words are what I live by. He
Yes.
passed away, and his last dying words were, "I go to seek a great perhaps." And that has been such an inspiring goal for me. It's become a mantra. Everywhere. If you would see my laptop right now,
Yes,
it's
I
a
know.
sticker. It says, "I go to see great perhaps." My wallpaper is that. My phone cover is that. Everything says that. So he would be the first person. The second person I think I would like to have would be another instrumental figure would be Alexander Hamilton.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm a student of theater. As I've told you, I love musicals, I love dramas, and for the past 2.5 years, I have been obsessed with the musical Hamilton, the
Mm.
story of the founding father Alexander Hamilton, whose story wasn't really that well known until this musical came up.
Mm.
Um, and the story, and as narcissistic as it may sound, for me, I relate to him a lot. Not that I can, not that I'm going through the struggles he went through, but
Mm.
his friends, the people who knew him, used to say he was nonstop. He would go through life nonstop. He would write like he's running out of time. He would
Mm.
work like he's running out of time. And
Mm.
my friends say this quite frequently to me that you are they sometimes they complain. They're like, Aman, we're trying to go out, but you're not coming with us because you're saying, oh, I have a meeting, I have work, I have this, I have that. So that would be the second person. The third person, I'm not sure to be honest. I think the
Maybe
third person I
you
would
are
like,
currently into fitness and weightlifting. You are doing.
yes,
You look up to somebody from
there,
a fitness field or maybe sports.
there is someone who I see as a huge huge figure when it comes to weightlifting and discipline and bodybuilding. His name is Chris Bumstead,
Okay.
and he is an amazing um, person. He's an inspiration to a lot of people when it comes to getting into the gym and working out and powerlifting, everything
Right.
about discipline, about making sure that you stick to your goals, you stick to everything, and still live a happy and meaningful life.
Mm.
So him, he's adoringly known as Sebum.
Mm.
Because it's the first letter and then his last name, so that's how he's known. So those
Okay.
three would be the three people I would like to. I think I would
Okay.
like to have dinner with.
Mm. Right. Now coming to the section where there is a role reversal, you get to ask me a question and let's see what it is going to be. I would be answering it as transparently as I can. Yes.
I would say this is a question I ask quite a few people, honestly.
Okay.
Ma'am, I want you to imagine that you are in your childhood bedroom, right? And you're you, the age you are, like the adult with all the wisdom that you have at this point, till this point, that's you. You walk into this childhood bedroom and you see a little Madhumita.
Okay.
She may be 7 or 8 years old. Right?
Okay.
She's sitting at the edge of the bed, and if you sat next to her and she looked at you blankly, what
What
would
would you
you
tell?
tell her? What three things would you tell her?
Hmm. Spoken like a true psychoanalysis, like happening here, right on this channel. Okay. Yeah. So I would say that 7 and 8-year-old Madhumita was always very confident and was sure that she's going to mm, make a, she never doubted that. I'm talking about 80s, okay, 70s, in fact, where we didn't have any comparison anywhere, and you feel that you are very good. But I would tell her that you should have tried a little harder, little more. Like you did give your best at that time. I always felt that now when I look at the young people, I took a little easy. I think there was a less motivation. I missed, as you said, my parents were laid back. They were very good human beings, but I think there is two extremes: parents who push their children a lot and parents who just leave them and say, okay, let them do whatever they. So I felt, if my parents at that age had pushed me a bit to guide me properly, I would have I would have become, as you said, that was my dream, but I would have made a very good doctor. So I think that childhood, that that kind of push, I miss that which I also didn't give to my son, but I think it's necessary that a parent guides the child very well during the formative years. Not to blame them, they didn't know any better, they did their
No,
best.
absolutely.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did their best.
there's
No
this thing
question,
I heard.
not knowing what was happening. They didn't even know what was mind game,
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
mental well-being.
There's this thing I'd heard. Don't Anytime you get frustrated at your mom or dad, stop and remember that this is their first time going through life as well.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So, sometimes your whole potential is not met because you think that you could have done better. Of course, not right now, but yeah, sometimes you feel, okay, agar ye liya hota. There are some kind of uh, regrets, and I won't say that people say that, oh, I would never go back. I would do exactly the same. I think that's not for me. I would have done things differently.
I'll be honest, ma'am. It's beautiful what you said. I think it's for me when it comes to regrets. There used to be a period of time where I would regret almost anything. There used to be times, even once I joined this new uni, that I thought, yeah, but if I'd at least just finished medicine and then gone into
Mm,
psychology or something, I would have completed it. I would have had 2 degrees. And then I read this theory. There's this beautiful theory in quantum physics called the many worlds interpretation, where
okay.
it's like there's multiple versions of this world in different universes. So, for example, there's one universe where I'm the one doing the interviewing and you're the student who's joined the interview. There's one where the India is an absolute superpower. There's one where there was no partition, stuff like
Mm,
that. A lot of different universes all existing at the same time. So whenever
mm,
I feel regret now, I think to myself, don't feel regret. There
mm.
was a world somewhere where you
Yes,
completed
exactly.
medicine,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that person is living their life. And it's
Mm,
you, it's still you, right? It's not like
mm.
that's a completely different human being. That's you. So you
True.
have completed medicine in some universe. So don't regret it, right?
Correct.
Learn from it and see what you can do instead.
Yeah, regret is not something very angsty regret. It is that probably we didn't know better. So that we
True.
didn't know better, so it could have been, or now it's the other way around. We know too much. That's also is going to be too many choices,
True.
too many things we know. So who knows? We have there are. Right, Aman. Thank you very much for this wonderful interview. But I will not leave
Thank you so much for having me.
with you without humming few lines, if you may, because you love singing. Let's hear something from you to end this conversation, if you may. Your favorite song. I know I've put you on a
Okay.
spot, but if you can.
No, it's absolutely fine. For me, you've given me the perfect time. I always look for any opportunity to sing.
I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I've just gotten very much obsessed because my mom used to be a huge fan of Lucky Ali.
Okay.
And so to surprise her,
Okay.
I started learning O Sanam
Okay.
by Lucky Ali. So I
Yeah.
know a few of those lyrics. I
Okay.
could do
Go
that,
ahead.
with your permission.
So we'll end with this beautiful song from Aman. Yeah.
शाम सवेरे तेरी यादें आती है आके दिल को मेरे यूं तड़पाती है ओ सनम मोहब्बत की कसम मिल के बिछड़ना तो दस्तूर हो गया यादों में तेरी मैं जो बूर हो गया ओ सनम तेरी यादों की कसम समझे जमाना के दिल है खिलौना जाना है अब क्या दिल का लगाना नजरों से अब ना हमको गिराना मर भी गए तो भूल न जाना आंखों में बसी हो पर दूर हो कहीं दिल के करीब हो ये मुझको है यकीन ओ सनम तेरे प्यार की कसम थैंक यू
Oh, beautiful, beautiful singing. Thank you for doing this on this show.
my
I'm so
pleasure thank you for
happy.
having me
Yeah.
my
So,
pleasure
with this, we end today's talk. And I hope there are so many takeaways right from his charitable work to his TED Talks to the philosophy to the life to live a legacy, live life to the fullest. Use these nuggets when you listen to this in your life, and I'm sure it's going to make it better and beautiful. Thank you for joining week after week. See you again next week with another youth, another talk show. Keep watching and keep subscribing to this channel. Bye bye. Good night.